Adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. Moving into days to remember. August 11th through the 13th, new teacher orientation day. August 14th, all staff required meeting from 9:15 to 12:15 at the Huron High School auditorium. August 14th and 15th will be teacher in service. August 15th, Buchanan elementary open houses, Buchanan, Madison, and Washington from 1 to 4. August 18th through the 19th, teacher in service. August 18th, we have middle school open house from 11 to 1 and 2 to 4. We also have high school open house from 5:30 to 7:30. Everyone's favorite day, August 20th, first day of school for grades 1 through 12. August 20th through the 22nd, we've got kindergarten screening and citywide early childhood screening from 9 to 2:30. August 21st will be the McKinley open house from 4 to 5:30. August 25th, first day of school for kindergarten and early childhood, and our next Board of Education meeting at 5:30 here in the IPC. August 27th will be an early release date for the State Fair. No school August 28th and 29th or September 1st for Labor Day. Rest of the dates are listed in September or on the agenda. Moving into community input for items not on the agenda, we didn't have any requests for community input. We also have no conflict disclosure or consideration of waivers, so we will move to our consent agenda. Superintendent recommends approval of the following: approval and/or corrections of minutes of previous meetings, approval and/or corrections of the financial report, consideration and approval of the bills. We have new hires to the district that require board approval to be covered by our workman's compensation plan. Got 4 resignations for board approval. Ben Pham, an on-call interpreter and substitute teacher with 2 years of service. Stephen Martins, a substitute route driver, 1 year of service. Bill Fisher, a substitute route driver with 2 years service. Nakrina Alden, food service at the middle school with 1 year service. We've got several contracts for board approval. All of these are plus 15 hours, revised contract. We have Corey Weeks, Andrea Olson, Megan Kaufman, Cameron Romig, Carissa Von Eye, Sierra Cheddar, Brittany McClanahan, Claire Gilbert, and Samantha Blum. We have a construction agreement between Huron School District and Greater Huron Development Corporation. We have an advertising agreement at the Huron Arena from Agtegra for 2025 through 2030. An advertising agreement at the Huron Arena for American Family Insurance for 2025 to 2030. Advertising agreement at the Huron Arena and Tiger Stadium for Huron Regional Medical Center for 2025 through 2030. An advertising agreement at the Huron Arena for, I think that's supposed to be Ace Realty, 2025 to 2030. Advertising agreement, Huron Arena and Tiger Stadium for South Dakota unclaimed property for 2025-2030. With the closure of our newspaper last week, we need to designate a new official newspaper. The recommendation is to designate the Sanborn Weekly Journal as the official newspaper. And then we have a request to approve agreement for consult services between Pawlowski Speech Therapy LLC and the Huron School District. That would be the consent agenda in its entirety. We can pass it with one motion, or if any board member would like to pull any item out for further discussion, they may certainly do so.
Move to approve consent as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved. This time I will turn it to our superintendent so he can celebrate the successes in our district.
Thank you, Chairman Van Berkom. Good evening, everyone. This evening, I want to congratulate all of those of you that are sitting in front of us, and you'll be presenting on the work that you did and all of the success that the students navigated and earned through your hard work. So congratulations to you and the students on that. Thank yous this evening go to well, they don't go to, this is from the Huron School Nutrition, and they would like to publicly thank the following individuals for their services and volunteer spirit, lending a hand with our summer grab-and-go bags. These people, some of them Huron School students, made a deliberate choice to help with packing and passing out an average of 817 bags each Tuesday and Friday. This amounts to an average of 9,900 plus meals every week this summer. As you make your way through the community and have contact with these wonderful volunteers, please acknowledge their service and let them know they are appreciated. Also, an extra thank you goes out to Rhonda Clute, who rallied the troops and brought these folks together. So the names include Rich and Jen Bragg, Doug and Rhonda Clute, Jan Johnson, Sean and Kara Harvey, Pauline Carey, Brooke Hunter, Ann Claire Rubish, Natalie Kinsley, Levi and Rachel Carey, Leo Carey, Renee Puterbaugh, Connie Vicuna, Holly Hahn, Ann and Jean Blondheim, Gail Clute, Stephanie Weed, Sheila Sutton, Pagan Danny Mahold, Taylor and Jenny Sorbin, Vanessa Garcia, Ryan Gaynor, Jamie Peterson, Jenna Medema, Kelly Peterson, Sandy Whipple, Liz Torres, James Salinas, Brian Smith, Wanda Butterman, Stephanie Bennett, Leo Schumacher, Jamie Katner, Catherine Amar, yours truly, Doug Peets, Rick Sabers, Barb Lorenz, Carrie Harvey, Emma Pluster, Carrie Hellum, Linda Skorheim, Kristen Cronin, Deanna Ness, Moo Boy So, Jocelyn Naus, and the Heartland 4-H Club. And I would just add that the day that I was able to do that, it's amazing the work and the amount of preparation it takes to be able to hand out 817 meals in that short amount of time. It's amazing. The work is hard. I was sore the next day from lifting bags and moving them. I don't know how they do that every Tuesday and Friday. And the other thing that I really noticed was the level of appreciation. I think every single person that came through the line thanked us, which was wonderful to see that we're offering that service to the families in our community. And then another thank you this evening goes to Sarah May with Modern Women for the donation of supplies and pencil bags to the Madison 2-3 Center. And that concludes the celebrations this evening in the district.
Thank you very much, Dr. Steinhoff. Moving into board reports, our first report will be from the 7th grade teaching staff on the interim assessment utilization. Who's the victim that gets to start?
So first of all, do you want me to turn the mic on?
It is green.
Oh, okay. This is many of the 7th grade staff. This is not all of us that have 7th grade students. Everyone is listed on the PowerPoint here to show you who's all involved. But this is who was able to show up tonight. So we were asked to present on our 7th grade state assessment scores and the success that we had this year. So I'm just going to kind of lead us off with that. Both the math and ELA scores were above the state average this year. And one of the things that the math and ELE teachers contributed that to was interim testing. And so I'm going to start by kind of explaining what that is. So we've heard about interim testing for a couple years, but we didn't really know exactly what it was or how to utilize it in our classroom. And then in the summer of 2024, Brittany McClanahan and I went out to Portland for a Smarter Balance teacher workshop, and a lot of teachers across the United States were talking about them and how they utilized them, and I was just kind of listening and, taking it all in. Well, then when we came back in September, there was a training offered through the South Dakota assessment in Watertown, and so I had talked to Miranda, the 7th grade ELA teacher, and said, I think we should go to this training. And so then I asked Mrs. Williamson if we could do this, and ended up being a group of teachers that went to this training in Watertown. And basically what interim testing is, it's through the South Dakota Department of Ed. It's with the state assessment, but it's just little chunks of questions that correlate directly with standards, that you want to see how are the students doing on this, and what do we need to do as teachers to help them understand it better. So we went to this training, came back, met with Mrs. Peets. She showed us the 3-year data as to these are the areas our students are struggling in on the state assessment, and the areas that maybe they're doing okay. And so Mrs. Holtrop and I were like, oh goodness gracious, like we've got some areas that are major concerns here for 3 years. So we just kind of dove into it, not exactly knowing how it was going to work out, but we wanted to try it with our students. And so the FIAB is what we started with, which we thought was like a 3 to 5 question little test. So we told the students, you know, it's only going to be 3 to 5 questions. It's going to be, you know, okay. And we didn't know till we got in it, and we opened it up, and I think it was 12 questions. And we were like, okay, we're sorry, we're wrong. It's 12 questions. But it was just a short little snippet. They took it. We got instant feedback from it to see like, hey, these are the questions on, I think we did editing and revising was the first one we did. And it was really an eye-opener. And so we were like, okay, now we're gonna kind of pinpoint this and focus on this. And for a month was our goal. We were gonna do it for 1 month, for 4 weeks, really work on this, and then give it again kind of as a post-test to see if the results improved. And so one thing that they have on there is the top 5 and the bottom 5. And the bottom 5 is like overall the bottom 5 questions that kids struggled on. So that was kind of where we pulled our focus together, was that. So we started interim testing in November, the beginning of November. And then math, you started it.
Went to a training in February, and then started interim testing in March.
So that's where we started interim testing. So then we both curriculum areas worked on that. And so this is the ELA 3-year data. You could see in 2023, the percentage of proficient was 53%. And this is, it says Huron Middle School, but it's just 7th grade, was 56%. In 2024, the state proficient was 52, and 7th grade was 46. And then this year, the state proficient was 53. The 7th grade was 62. And then the kids that took interim testing, which was just my students and Ms. Holtrump's students, they were 70% proficient.
Because that whole group of 7th grade includes, what, like, probably another 30, 40 kids?
Probably, yeah. Yeah. So then I'll have you guys talk about the math.
For math, we saw pretty similar results. You can see that the state was pretty much stagnant at the 43-ish level. And 2023 and 2024, we were very low compared to that. And from seeing that in 2024, going down further, we really dove into the interim tests and IXL. We really were pounding that a lot and trying to find any way that we could help our students. And when we found the interim tests, we saw ours go up a lot more than we've ever gone up before. This is the first year in a while that we've been above the state ever.
Yeah, we had just kind of discussed whatever we had been doing, it wasn't working. So we needed to try something different. And then when we had a chance to go over and learn about the interim testing, and you heard about all the other schools that were using it and all the success that they had had, we just kind of said, well, that's something we immediately have to come back and try to start to do. So we did. We kind of blocked it out for the rest of the year. And then just the 3 months that we were able to use it, or 2.5, we really thought that it made a huge help in these kids kind of getting familiar with what was going to kind of be on the test. And then we could see what the students were really struggling with, and those were kind of like our bell ringers at the beginning of each class is, hey, we're going to review these, this question or 2 questions, and just make sure that they were getting the feedback that they needed from us. Because those are kind of the things when you're a teacher, you don't really know overall what they're struggling with. And then when you see the questions that they're getting wrong, okay, now you can go back and pinpoint exactly what they need from you. So we thought this was awesome, and going to be able to implement it right away at the beginning of this school year. So hopefully we see even more success.
So we were invited to think about all the things that helped us to accomplish those scores. And like we already talked about, the interim assessments was the biggest one that we've discussed. But the other 5 that we found to be helpful was using the top 5 and bottom 5 as bell ringers, IXL practice, the testing schedule we implemented this year for the state test was really helpful, and then the teamwork we had as a 7th grade team, which is why we're all here today, and also the group of students that we had was really helpful as well.
So bell ringers, we kind of talked about this a little bit. What we did is we took from the FIAB, we found out our top 5 and our bottom 5, looked at our bottom 5, went, oh, this is what we need to work on. They were just short 10, 15-minute mini lessons that we did at the beginning of a class. So we would start it off and teach it to them, give them an option to practice it. Sometimes they would practice it by themselves, and then we'd talk about, like, hey, this is what it should look like. Where did we go wrong with it? Or, like, where did you guys go wrong? Who got it right? Those types of things. So a lot of going over the areas in which they struggled. And so it was very useful, we thought.
Something else, though, too, is what we noticed was some of the students would know how to do the math, but there was certain vocabulary that they would see, like on the test question, that they were not familiar with. So that was a great opportunity, to see where some of the kids struggled. They didn't know what they were supposed to do. So like once they knew what that word meant or what the question was asking them, that was something for us to be able to help them with and teach them with too. So IXL is something that, Claire and I know ELA, use quite a bit. And this is, basically extra practice that you can assign, once kids get done with their classwork. There's other things that they can go in and work on their skills, and it gives us instant feedback of how they're doing, or they have to get to a certain percentage skill mastered, and that way we can just see it right away, which is really nice. So we use that and try to get to how many different lessons and standards that we have, as well as try to get them to a certain percentage of being proficient with that skill level.
As far as the testing schedule, as they said, this year we did it a little bit differently. We did it in 5 days only, and it was from 8:05 to 11:37 basically, and every 7th grader was testing at that time. Actually, the whole middle school was. And we took a break halfway through, so all the kids got a break at the same time so they could see their friends and relax, and then we all came back and tested at the same time. And I think that just helped reinforce to the students that all of us teachers thought it was very important, not just the math and ELA students, that all the teachers thought this is an important test, so we're all giving it. You are all going to take it at the same time. Because we only did it 5 days and for 5 mornings, that really increased our attendance. We had less kids that were gone for appointments because it wasn't stretched out over a 2-week time period. They knew this 5 days was for testing. Please do your orthodontist appointments at a different time if all possible. And then we had less makeup assessments because at least in the 7th grade, we created a Google Doc. So as soon as the test began, we all got on and said, okay, this student is gone today, and this is the test that they're missing. Or this student didn't finish this part of the test. So if they finished later on a different day before the time block was up, we were able to access it and get them on and finish another test. So hopefully, like, we had very few that were left to actually make up after the 5 days. We were able just to condense it in 5 days, which was really helpful, I think. Oops, hit the wrong button.
That's me. One thing that we also thought had made a difference was this was the only assessment students were given this year. It was the first year that we didn't do NWEA. And with us being able to give these tiny FIB interim assessments and have them look at those questions, we could use that time. And then I felt like they were more, I don't know, ready to go, I guess, for this state assessment. We had less days testing, which gave us more instructional days, at least for ELA. We got 12 more instructional days back when we were able to get rid of NWA. A lot less testing burnout. I felt like kids were ready to go. In ELA, we always have them set goals. We show them their 6th grade scores, and they look at the areas that maybe they struggled with. We talk about what they can do to, help with those different areas and give them tips and things like that. And then they set a goal for what they want to achieve in 7th grade. And I just think kind of having an idea of where was I, where do I want to go from here, helps some of them as well.
Teamwork, we are all invested. All throughout the school year, they teach Step Up to Writing, science, social studies implemented in our classroom as well. All essays, all homework, we pound Step Up to Writing in them. They have to do it the correct way. If not, they have to redo it. So that by the time state assessment comes around, they're pretty good with that. We also have study hall at the end of the day, and we all have chart that we put in whatever our assignments were for that day. So we know, oh, Mrs. Blue assigned this, let's get this out and work on it. So then we're working with our students one-on-one at the end of the day, because we know what's expected from them from every class. When it came time for actually giving the test, I was extremely nervous because I had never given it before. Science, social studies, we had never given them. We had no idea, and we were told that people were going to come in and watch us, and it was so nerve-wracking. We didn't want to be the ones to mess it up, but they walked us through it, and we had meeting after meeting after meeting with step by step of what we needed to do, what our expectations were, how important this test was. And these guys kind of threw it on us, and we're like, we're going to be the superheroes and come in and save this. And I mean, it was very stressful, but the kids realized that we were all taking it so seriously. So then they worked really hard. And granted, this was a great group of kids. They were a wonderful class. They were willing to do anything for their teachers. But I think with all of us being totally invested and working together throughout the year to make sure they're ready for this test, that also contributed to their success.
So yeah, the class of 2030 was extremely motivated. I mean, as teachers, we all love to share in their success, but they took a lot of pride in getting their own success and making their own success. So it was really kind of a pleasure to watch the students be able to kind of challenge themselves to set their own expectations and meet and exceed those. But yeah, and there was a lot of parent involvement throughout the entire year, not just during testing, but throughout the entire year for everybody.
Well, and I just have to say, I think we're all just really close as a team. We get along very well. We work really well together. We kind of keep each other accountable what we have going on, and we meet and want to make sure that we're all doing well. And I just love teaching with these guys, and I think that really shows in our 7th grade team. Moving forward, these are things I know. Claire and I were not the only math teachers from Huron Middle School that went, but I do think that we were the only math teachers that implemented this. So what we would like to do is go throughout our building to start and say, hey, we saw this success. If you need help, this is really simple. This is all it is. All you have to do is open this up, assign it, take a look at it, see if you like it, what have you. And that way, you know, maybe we can get more of the middle school math and ELA teachers using it, as well as if there's anybody down at the lower levels, the elementary schools that would like to take a look at it. We're someone that they can call. We can just go down and show them that it's not that scary, because that's the thing. It's once you get to it and just see what it is, well, this isn't so much. You know, 'cause as a teacher, you're always kind of like, oh, this is just one more thing we have to do, one more thing we have to fit in. But then it's like, well, this is really simple to implement in your everyday classroom. So those are things that, you know, we probably should do and need to do, just starting out in our own building first, and then go out into to the other schools. So.
Do you have any questions?
More of just a comment. Just say that, I mean, this group is obviously doing the right thing, and what an awesome report. I mean, hopefully you can convince your other compatriots to, hey, this is the way to go, because you guys are definitely doing something right, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
I would just say to find this in a seminar and take the initiative to go get the training and bring it to your group and everybody to jump on board is really impressive. And I mean, I had to imagine the getting those test results and seeing a 50% increase had to be pretty thrilling. So you should be very proud, so should your students.
Yeah, this was some of the best scores I think that we've ever been presented. So, and that's kudos to all of you. I mean, to care about your job enough to go ahead and implement a change, something new, think outside the box. This is what we wait for. This is what, you know, as a board, we want to support in every way that we absolutely can. Congratulations to you guys. I mean, this makes me emotional. This makes me so happy, and congratulations to your kiddos. I am just so impressed. I hope everyone sees the work that you're doing and is absolutely willing to take this on. It's very impressive. Congratulations.
I guess I'd just say the same thing. Good job, guys. It's awesome to see the results you've had. I guess I'd be interested in to see, you know, when you got the top 5 and the bottom 5, you know, was that varying between students or varying between classes, or was it kind of across the board that everybody kind of had the same concepts that they were all excelling at, and kind of the same ones that they were maybe missing? And then second part would be, are you guys going to kind of track that every year and go, it seems like in general these are the themes or these are the standards that kids aren't catching on to, and then would you know, how would you modify that, your teaching practices going forward, maybe to account for that? I guess it kind of be.
Well, I know, like Claire and I with math, you know, right away, you know, you would see the questions that they're getting wrong, and we're like, oh yeah, we can see why that would be happening, right? Maybe we don't dedicate enough days to this topic or what have you, but then it was kind of like, it was strange because some classes would do better on certain topics and then other classes would be lower in some. So you're kind of like trying to tie that in, and it's kind of like, oh, is it because of the time of day they're having class? You know, I mean, these kids have class at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock every day. Does that affect, you know, how they're thinking at that point? Or is it, am I affected as a teacher? Am I not teaching it as well in the afternoon? You know what I mean? So it is good data to take a look at. But yeah, right now I was kind of like blown away with how certain classes did better at certain things, or not as well on certain things. So it was, for me, not a full across the board, hey, we were struggling here. It was kind of here. So kind of take a look at your own teaching at that point, yeah.
As far as tracking, I think that's kind of where that 3-year data report comes in too. And so hopefully we will see that on the state assessment again, what areas again did we maybe still struggle with? I mean, I don't remember how many FIEBs we gave, but now knowing that we have the full 9 months that we can fit more into, then hopefully we'll see those go up as well. Because we just started with what we saw in the red, which was bad. And we were like, we're starting with red, and we're going to hopefully improve some of that, so.
I have a question. How did the students react when they saw their scores?
I had one ESL boy go from a 1 to a 3, and he literally like jumped out of his desk that day. And I mean, they were happy. They were excited, and I was thrilled. And they were, I mean, every day science and social studies teachers would be like, what do the scores look like today? Because it's like you go in and you click the button. Okay, where are we at? You know, it's like, and then so it was like it's still going up. It's still going up, and so everybody was excited.
The
about
kids would
it.
go to all their teachers and say, hey, I did this in math, I did this in ELA, like they were so pumped.
They do care. They do care how they do. And it's like when you're taking one of these practice tests and you're saying, oh, hey, we're not doing very well here. They like, oh, yeah, like we can do better. Like, hey, we don't want to be in the red. We want to be in the yellow and green. And you can say, okay. And they'll be like, yeah, let's try. You know, so the majority of them really do show emotion if they did well, if they didn't do as well as they wanted to. So you can tell the majority of the students care how they do on this.
Well, I just want the Board of Ed to know and the public and everyone else that watches this board meeting that the hardest part of this was trying to get them to be able to have you tell how well you did, because I really struggled at you afraid and feeling like you're bragging, and you're not bragging. I've used the phrase, Joe Namath said that it's not bragging if you've done it, and you've done it. So thank you, and thank you for being willing to come share this and share what you're doing, which is really collective teacher efficacy. You found a struggle, you agreed on a solution, and you all believed in it, and you did it. And you provided students agency in their own learning by helping them know where they are on their scores, and then promoting them and challenging them to try to succeed, and they did. So kudos to you, and thank you for being bold and willing to first go out for breakfast with me this spring when I asked, and then be willing to share here. You know, the look on your face when I said, I'd really like to have this presented at a school board meeting was interesting, because the look was kind of similar to, probably the look I would give when I'm asked to do something that I really am not excited about or nervous about doing. And you did a great job, and you presented very well and professionally, and that it shows another example of why you're successful and the kids that you teach are successful. So thank you.
Yeah, this is what leadership looks like. I mean, look at each other. This is what heroes look like to our students. You guys have impacted these little lives, and you made a difference, and that's going to build on their confidence, and they're going to continue to be successful going forward. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you.
Well, most importantly, I like breakfast too. So. But I'm really happy for you teachers and administrators for being able to reap what you've sown. You know what I mean? Putting all that work and all that effort into these kids day in, day out, and then actually seeing an increase in testing, that's amazing. And I really appreciate your guys' desire to rinse and repeat, wanting to do better. And then hopefully we can get this through different grades and different buildings. And to the public, I think the middle school overall gets a bad rap, but to Miss Williams and Miss Hudson, you guys do a lot of great things. A lot of great things happen at that school, and a lot of it has to do with you guys caring so much. So as a parent and as a school board member, I'd like to say thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, everyone. That was a fantastic report. Okay, our next report will be Mrs. Konechny with the English Language Summer School.
I'm not sure how to follow that. This year we had to scale down a little bit on our EL Summer School because of funding numbers. So we had 20 teachers, 17 para-educators for the K through 5 services. We also had 2 Department of Labor interns and 1 Northern State University intern that as para-educators. So there are students and that want to go into education and ask to be a part of that. So that was really exciting. We also had the 3 admin assistants at each of the building levels to help with phone calls, attendance, and helping ensure that students got where they needed and things like that. We had 361 EL students attend, 49 kindergarten, 61 first grade, 63 second, 77 third graders, 48 fourth graders, and 63 fifth graders. And we spent a total of $62,500 roughly. So that was 14 days. And I think our focus was literacy, so reading and writing and math. And that was the purpose and intent of the EL Summer School. So that is my report. Any questions?
Questions or comments? Thank you very much. Okay, now we will turn to Mr. Christofferson with his business manager's report.
First item I have tonight is a general fund report. We are 1 month into the new fiscal year's budget, so 8% of the year is completed. We've collected $1,642,000, which is 6% of our general fund budgeted revenue. Last year at this time, we'd collected $1,545,000, or 6% for that period. We've expended $1,431,000, or 5% of budget expenditures, compared to $1,429,000, or 5% for the same period last year. So we're off to a similar start as we were last year. On the construction project, everything continues to roll ahead. Since last month, the high school addition has seen a lot of work on the doors, trying to get the building enclosed so we can secure it at night. And so that involves the door frames. There's a lot of work inside going on with the interior walls and framing out the classrooms and other rooms. And they've been working on the site work around the addition, getting all the concrete and the sidewalks poured with concrete. The scoreboards, the Tiger Stadium scoreboard is, as far as I can tell, installed and working. We have power to the board. The board has been on and is functioning. The middle school boilers are all in place and most of the connections are made. There's just a little bit more work there. The middle school roof replacement is a slow process. I don't think that's going as fast as they would like to see. They broke that roof into 15 different sections and they're working on section 4. So it's been a long summer, but they're working on it. The high school roof will take place after the middle school roof is completed. So inside the high school, besides the new addition, they have been a lot of work in that fax room. That's starting to come together. The equipment and stuff is being hooked up in there and placed. And then in the band and choir rooms, a lot of work has been done on the walls. All the asbestos is gone. All the asbestos containing soundproofing is gone. So the new stuff is going up, and new drywall and new paint. Over to the CTE building, a lot of the ventilation work is done. We had a meeting on site today to look at some things and how it's going to work. They're going to make some minor modifications so that it works better, like the instructors envision it working. So there's still some work to do up above to connect all the ventilation and get it piped outside. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Kelly, are there any questions for Mr. Christofferson? Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
So, a little out of place, but it's regarding the advertising agreements that we have. I see we have football and basketball, but nothing for wrestling, as far as opportunities to advertise.
Well, I don't think any of the advertising is geared at any particular sport. The advertising that the superintendent is heading up is for advertising either on the video boards in the Huron Arena or on the video boards at Tiger Stadium. And then the sponsors select their venue and they can sign up for either or.
Okay.
But it's not, I don't think any of the advertising is really geared at sport specific.
Okay. Well, I just noticed a lot of football and basketball, and I was like, hey. So.
Any other questions for Kelly?
Nope, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we'll turn to Dr. Steinhoff for his superintendent's report.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. The first thing is, it was shocking and disheartening, just as I'm sure it was for you, to learn about the sudden closure of the Huron Plainsman, along with several other South Dakota newspapers and many other papers across the country. And I'd be amiss to not thank the Plainsmen and their staff for their coverage of the business of the Huron School District by reporting on all of our school board meetings. Additionally, I thank them for covering the endless accolades of the students, staff, and families. So we will miss them, and we hope that there's something coming in the future for us to have a paper again in Huron. The back-to-school professional development started this morning with the new teacher in service in this room. It was packed. We welcomed 16 new teachers to Team Huron, and doesn't pack the room so much, but when we have mentors and we have the full admin team here in the morning, this room does get a bit packed. But it's exciting to have our new teachers here, and we were very impressed with their level of professionalism and their leaning into learning new things today all day long. And last but not least, I received return communication regarding the freeze to federal funding, which we know has now been unfrozen, so the federal funds that were frozen are unfrozen. But I received updates from Senator Thune and Representative Johnson. Senator Thune stated, "As the son of 2 South Dakota educators and the father of 2 daughters who graduated from public schools, I understand the importance of providing all our children with quality education. As Congress continues its work, I will be sure to keep your concerns in mind." Representative Johnson stated, "I understand your concerns and recognize the importance of education funding. My office has engaged with both the Department of Education and the Office of Management and Budget regarding the review process and have expressed how critical this funding is to programs and schools across South Dakota." So I thank both of them for helping us on getting that unfrozen and for responding back to us and for standing up for public education. And that concludes my report, so back to you, Chairman Van Berkom.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any questions for Dr. Steinhoff? Okay, then we will move into old business. We got quite a few items of old business to take care of tonight. We have second reading on several policies, 9 policies related to library. I think we'll go ahead and take these all in one vote unless there's any objection from any board members that want to pull any out. But we have up for second reading and approval, we have policy IIAB, library materials, IIAB 1, library materials opt-out form, IIAB-2, request for reconsideration of instructional curricular library materials, IIAB 3, permission for middle school students to use high school library materials, IIAB 4, permission for middle school students to use high school library materials form, IIAB 5, copyright policy, IIAB 6, library bill of rights, IIAB 7, the freedom to read, and IIAB 8, students' right to read. There have been no changes to any of these since our first reading, so I would, unless there's any objection, I'd ask for a motion to approve all these policies in one vote.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded to approve these 9 policies. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will vote. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, policies are adopted. Okay, next we have policy AE, Huron Public School District Wellness Policy. This contact updates for the 25-26 school year, up for a second reading and approval. So I would entertain a motion to approve policy AE.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, we will vote. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have policy GCA-1, qualifications, contracts for administrators. This was introduced at our last meeting and is up for a first reading. Don't believe there have been any changes to this one since the first reading. And it will be on our next agenda for a second reading and final approval. Anybody have any questions or comments on this? Okay, then we'll move into policy GCB1, professional staff contracts and compensation plans administration. Was introduced at our last meeting. It's on this meeting for our first reading. There's been no changes to this one since the introduction. Unless there's any questions or comments? Guess not. I will move on to the next one. Policy GCA-20, professional staff positions, English learner, director. Introduced at our last meeting, is on this one for first reading. Been no changes since the last meeting. So it'll be on our next agenda for second reading and approval. Then we have policy, if anybody has any questions or comments, go ahead and stop me, or I'm just gonna keep going through. Policy GC-20, interpreting services. No changes since our introduction at the last meeting, and again, this will be on our next meeting for a second reading and approval. And we have policy GDA-26, support staff positions, introduced at our last meeting. This will serve as our first reading and will be up for approval at the next meeting. And then we have policy JA, handbooks, introduced at the last meeting. This will serve as first reading and be on the next one for second reading and final approval. Any comments or questions on any of those first readings? Okay, then our next item of old business, district bus pickup points, Iroquois and Woolsey-Wessington schools. Superintendent recommends approval of the pickup point resolutions with Iroquois and Woolsey-Wessington for the 2025-2026 school year. So I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
And moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions from anyone? Okay, seeing none, we will vote. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving into new business. First item of new business is board member assignments. I know that's in here. Where is that in here? I made those, you have it on paper there? Oh, thank you. Dr. Steinhoff has it for me. I made a few changes from last year, since I get to appoint these positions. And with Levi being our new board member, it's always good to shift some of these around. But our district negotiator will be Mr. Freeman. Certified teacher negotiations will be myself and Garrett. The classified negotiations, I have Shelley and Ray down for that. Tax equalization committee, I put Levi on with Ray as an alternate. That's an educational eye-opening experience, and everybody should get to take part in that, so I put Levi there. You did it this year. How was that?
I had one call and then it was canceled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to go listen to any.
No.
Okay. The Tax Incremental Finance Project Review Committee has been myself and Garrett in the past, and I think we'll continue that. Ray, I put you on the Health Insurance Committee. The School Improvement Committee, I put Shelley and myself. And the Huron School District Foundation, Garrett's been serving there very well, and I thought Levi would be a good fit on that one. So those are your committee assignments for this year. Next item of new business is the Huron School District Procurement Plan for Child Nutrition Program. Have that in our board packet. And this will serve as an introduction and be on the next one for first reading, correct?
I think so.
Yep. Or this isn't a policy. Do we have to have a first reading and then I guess it's not gonna hurt. Okay, it'll be on the next agenda for first reading. Anybody have any questions or comments on this? Just a change from the nutrition director. Okay, and then we also have an introduction of policy CDB organizational chart. This is going to serve as an introduction. Did you make some changes to this one?
Yes, one of the main changes is who is in charge of the colonies. We did have the high school principal in charge of both Riverside and Huron Colony, and that I moved that to the middle school principal, so that is identified in there. And then we also had a change. The nurses 2 years ago were under the special ed director, and we moved them to be under each one of the building administrators, so that's reflected in here.
Okay.
And it seems like there was one more change. Mr. Christopherson, is there anything else you can think that?
Changed ESL to EL.
Oh, yeah, right, from
Okay,
English as a
correct.
second language to English learners.
Okay, are there any questions for Dr. Steinhoff on this one? If not, that will be on our next agenda for our first reading then. That completes our new business. We have one item to go into executive session for in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, subsection 4, preparing for contract negotiations or negotiating with employees or employee representatives. So I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second?
Been moved to second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll take a short recess and reconvene in executive session. We're gonna do it in your office?
Yeah.
Okay. And there will be no further action taken after this.